Let's test the all-rounder style in the Tour 7 of Tennis Clash, a sports game made by Wife Live Studios. So the all-rounder lineup seen in this video is valid mostly for Viktoria, I would say, not for other characters, for Kaito for instance. So as for the previous video, I have sorted the matches from the most powerful opponent in terms of attributes, meaning in terms of total power, to the least powerful. So the matches are not sorted in a chronological order, thus don't be surprised to see my number of trophies or my total of gems vary weirdly from a match to another. So let's go back to the match. This is a series of matches where I try a different way of playing. Standard agility, standard serve, good forehand. Some would say that it's a big forehand. Well, it depends on their lineup, on the build. Standard backhand, or some would say weak backhand, but not too weak. Well, I have tried so far the aggressive baseliner style, standard agility, very low serve, big forehand, and big backhand. I have tried the volley style as well, the power serve and big forehand combo, and now this kind of all-rounder style. I say this kind of because it's not really all-rounder style like you would have with hop, but this is the one that we could qualify as all-rounder for Victoria. Because Victoria, as you may know, doesn't have a lot of stamina. Well, I do on those tests in the purpose to try and diversify my style range. So far this style pleased me quite well. As you can see, I have 45 agility, 48 of serve, 63 forehand, and 50 in backhand. Well, playing with that all-rounder style has its advantages and disadvantages, like for all other play styles, of course. And this all-rounder style of play allows us not to be too easily fooled by drop shots while allowing us to serve decently, especially if we can hit good spots, and to follow up with a big forehand, where the weaker backhand is nonetheless enough not to hit a too soft return when the opponent hits on your backhand. However, because it's an all-rounder style, you have no big advantage over your opponent, except maybe the forehand, which can still compete. But the serve needs to be well placed, or even very well placed, to be effective. Otherwise, it will be neutralized quite easily by your opponent. And you will not be quick to move on the court with this just standard agility, but not too slow anymore, like with the big serve, power serve and big forehand combo, where you have most of the time 30 of agility only. So your backhand with this all-rounder style is there to counter just a bit better than if it was having like 16 attribute points, as it is with the power serve and big forehand combo. And with that soft backhand, just decent serve in agility, where you really need a string. I really recommend you to put a string, not the best ones, tough. So you don't need to use the Siberian wire or the Punisher gut. And just leave them for the weekly tournament if you want, for the tournament round. And you can use the choker cord or Toro twine. And they should be enough. I like the Toro twine a lot. It gives you a lot of critical hits if you swipe very well. Well enough. Even the swallow poly can be enough if the forehand and backhand of your opponent are not too powerful. Well, I would say that this all-rounder style works above all versus players who don't have very high agility first, and or who don't know how to return most of the time on your backhand. Well, I have played some top 50, not in this video, top 50 of the global ranking, and they all counter this time very well. They play a lot on my backhand, and they are very accurate, while I still have to work really a lot, work hard, train hard to make my way to the top 100. Well, first to the top 150 and then top 100. I'm not too far, when I play, except for some matches where I fail completely miserably against them because I'm not as gifted as a lot of them in the top 50 of the global ranking. A lot of them are very gifted, really very talented. They have this, sometimes they just there are games that you play really well. I can't explain. It's like me playing a first-person shooter. I play better. I play better than on a tennis game for sure. Even if I know how tennis works. I mean, I have played tennis a lot during my youth. Like during 6 or 7 years, I was serving. I was training hard with my friends. I was playing almost 3 or 4 hours per day during summers for years like that. And well, I have kind of given up playing the latest years, but I still like a lot this sport, and I love watching tennis matches, especially when Roger Federer is playing. Of course, I don't know how long it will last, but well. So I I'm not gifted for this game. I like tennis in real life. I have played a lot of tennis, not to a very advanced level, of course, just a decent club level, but for in the game, I'm not gifted at all in this game. Yeah, I really have to work very hard to try to beat players of the top. I would say for now top 250. Yeah, 200 between 200 and 250 of the ranking, global ranking. So I really I insist on that. Just leave me some time, and I will try to make my way to the top 150. Okay, so let's get back to the matches. I have talked a bit about theories. Now, I didn't comment the different points. Oh, I would like to talk about the lack of sounds. As you may know, if you have already recorded a gameplay in Tennis Clash, well, I'm not talking about the replay that you see in Tennis Clash, okay? Not in the app. But if you try to record what you are seeing on your screen when you play with a third-party app, I am using an app on my Asus ROG Phone 2, for instance, which was an embedded recording app. Well, I don't know if it's specific to this app. Well, I have tried 3 recording apps actually, and none of them was able to record any sound for Tennis Clash. I mean, even when I put the volume very high, I can only record a very, very low volume in the background, So that's why you don't hear anything during the matches. You don't hear the balls, the sounds of the balls. You don't hear the cheering sound of the public and the umpires speaking, and no nothing of that. So it must be a bit frustrating to only hear me comment, especially because I don't comment very very well. Anyway, so knowing that, well, you can just mute this sound and focus on the gameplay if you like the way I play. But once again, I have to insist, I don't play well. I'm just a decent player, a normal, probably above the average player, above average or in this game, of course. So I still do some weird mistakes when I serve. I don't pay a lot of attention actually when I serve or when I try and hit big forehands, winning forehands. I in those matches. I mean, I think that I don't know. I may be paying more attention actually when I have to play a player who has a very high number of trophies. It's not that I underestimate the opponent, but you know, it's more motivating actually when you have to try and beat a very good player, a player who has like 2,100 or so trophies. Even if you know the number of trophies doesn't mean anything here, because as you may have seen, some very good players, well, players having very high attributes at the start of this video have kind of have dumped their trophies, so they don't have a lot of trophies. They have like 1,200 trophies, sometimes even 1,000. I have seen some having like this one, you know, 992. Well, that's after this match, but with that stat, normally, if this opponent is playing really normally without dumping trophies, well, I would say that she should have something like 1,500 or 1,600, something like that, quite easily. Well, for this one, the number of trophies is rather normal for the total power that you see. She's not dumping trophies. Okay. So as you can see, that's what I said. You really need to place in a very good spot. And I'm not a good server. I'm not accurate actually when I serve. I'm a bit more accurate when I have to deal with my forehand. I think so. But when I have to serve, oh, well, there, it was so inaccurate. When I serve, well, I find that I don't serve very well. Actually, I serve badly. It's just a kind of euphemism. So, well, yep, and even when I place it on the line, well, on the tee, the opponent just return very quickly. Some like to play like that, you know, very quickly. And I have a player called Fly Jamin, something like that, who has roughly 2,600, something like that, with Kaito, very high agility, and a forehand and a big hand around 60 for both of them. And he was trying a rather new style, so he was hitting. It's too bad I didn't. Well, I did record, but then I deleted because I lost this match, like something like 7-4, 7-5. I don't remember. And well, I only publish, as you may have seen, only victories in the videos on the channel. So I was talking about fly jamming and his style. Well, he was hitting normal hits, normal strokes, not too strong, but not weak, and cross court, but you know, as if he was trying to drop shot, but not really doing a drop shot. So the ball was going always to the middle of the court, where you will have a hard time swiping, preparing well enough to hit a very good forehand. And I think that this is a sign that I should work. This is pretty well done, pretty effective actually, because I was almost all the time by the middle of the court, because I knew that he would go there, he wouldn't put the balls there. And then, well, I was trying to hit hard, but it was not easy at all, even with a Toro twine, because the balls were falling very close to the court, and they were the balls were not bouncing actually. They were sharp strokes, not really drop shots, not big forehand or big backhand, and they were falling just by the middle of the court. And it was pretty funny to play. Yeah, it was a very interesting match. I hope I can play Fly Jamin more often so that I can train a bit. Because, well, he's not the kind of guy who likes to rematch. After a match, he just go away and then find another prey. Or and I think that he likes to test a lot of styles. I know that. I have seen him with a lot of different lineups. Fly Jamin, if you go to the global ranking, you will see him. I think around, yeah, around the top 50, maybe top 40 sometimes. Or well, I don't know. It depends. It depends on the period. Sometimes I beat him once because he was using a rather weird lineup, and I was using the aggressive baseliner style with Victoria. So normal agility, well, normal 54 agility and 60 something in forehand. It's 50, 57, 58 in backhand. Well, I had to be very accurate, but okay, well, that's enough talking about Fly Jamin. Let's go back to those 65 in agilities, 55, 55 for forehand and backhand. So 65, well, with a joker card, it becomes pretty serious. You need to be focused and try to kind of outsmart him because he will be very quick to return the balls. Of course, that's the main force, the main advantage with Kaito. So yeah, you will just try to flick the ball to return it back when you try to hit it hard, and you will really have to try and focus to hit the ball out of his reach. Well, of course, it's easier for you if your opponent, your Kaito opponent, is doing mistakes. Who doesn't? Me first. I do a lot of mistakes recently. I don't know. For the matches, even for those matches where I win, I mean, well, of course, when your players, when your opponent is hitting on your backhand, well, there are not a lot of things to do. You just have to to try desperately to counter and then wait for him or her to well, to make an error and put the ball, return the ball on your forehand side, then just try to gain the advantage from there. Otherwise, well, with a 49 of backhand, this is good for the tour 4, tour 5, not for the tour 6 or tour 7. However, it's much better, of course, having even 43 of backhand than 16 or even lower. That's the case if you play with the power serve plus big forehand combo. You finish with a very low backhand. Okay, so Andrea, I don't think that the Siberian wire is really useful when you don't have enough attributes anyway. You know, if you, I think that if you don't have high enough attributes, having a silver wire is kind of, it's just my point of view. It's kind of useless, and it's a waste. It's too bad because the silver wire is a very very good string, and I think that all players, including me, should try and save this good forehand counter string for the tournament rounds of weekly tournaments or bigger matches. But if I had like something like 1,200 trophies like this opponent, and I had to play some opponent having around 1,700 trophies, I would not play with a silver and wire. I would just put a chocolate cord max, or even a swallow poly. I mean, it's just a tour 7 match. It's not too important. Well, of course, if you take that um, almost personally, and you really want to try to win against this opponent that you don't like, or uh, that you have a hard time winning, and you against whom you can't succeed in winning, well, that's a different story. But otherwise, I would not do that. I would not use them. Here, as you can see, I'm using a swallow pulley. For me, I think that in that case is enough. And I say that because that's weird. Sometimes I see even players having higher attributes than me play with the silver wire. I mean, of course, everybody has the right to choose his or her string. I have nothing to say about that. But wow, I mean, they must have a lot of silver wire to spend, because they are not cheap, even when there are discounts or special offers in the store, in Tennis Clash store, including those. Yeah, I don't know why this was. I couldn't hit here. And well, that's something that I can't understand much. I can understand now why some very high trophies players are grinding, playing in the lower tours, like tour 3 to 4 or to 5, etc. Because at first that it was to warm up, for the day, and then I see that a lot of them keep playing in this tour. So I think that is for grinding, because that's enough actually to get this shuriken or the Jolly Roger. That's enough to grind in the lower tours, even if you don't get them a lot actually. Even if you grind a lot of matches in those lower tours. I have tried a bit. I have tried to make like 20 matches in the tour 4 and 5 recently. So that's not really to warm up. They were really matches, and just to see statistically if I could have my epic cards, the epic cards that I really want, and that were well, that are supposed to be available since the lower tours. Jolly Roger or Spring, Jolly Roger or Spring, I don't remember very well. This card is available since tour 3 or tour 4, if I remember. So, what's the point grinding in the tour 6 in that case, right? Even if a lot of epic cards that why not go? A lot of epic cards that are interesting for the baseliner style are sold mostly in the store, and it's the fastest way to get them, because if you want to grind, and I have grinded a lot, if you want to get them through grinding in by winning and opening bags in the tour 7, well, I can tell you that you will be disappointed because it's pretty hard to get them. Like the carbo loads, the resistant band. Well, resistant band is available since the tour 6, but I have grinded so many tour 6 and tour 7 matches, and I got, well, I think that the number of epic cards that I really want and that I got from those tours can be counted on one hand. Oh my gosh, can't believe that. Sometimes I'm so inaccurate. Well, I say, I don't know why. I don't know why. But this opponent is managing to play pretty well, actually. Well, with the Toro Trine is easier, as I said. Toro Trine is very good, a very good string. I happen to have more than 100 of them, so I think that I will spend them in the Tour 7 whenever I feel that it's the moment to accelerate and then to go to play on the Tour 8. Right now, I just feel that I'm not ready. I'm not good enough to play in the Tour 8, clearly. I really have to compete the day that I can compete easily with the players of the top, well, I would say top 100, not top 50, but what, top 100. I would say that this is time. Yeah, it's time to unlock the Tour 8. So for now, okay. So you can see that in Tennis Clash, if you take a look at the global ranking, you have a lot of players having fly or ace following, followed by some Chinese characters, some Mandarin characters. So those are clans, Chinese clans, mostly, of players. There are some who have very high attributes actually. Fly Jaemin is one of them. He has very high stats for Kaito, and he's not even a player who was playing the early access version of Tennis Clash. Where I have seen even higher attributes with some other. Well, I didn't play a lot of fly and ace players, but I have watched by curiosity their profiles in the global top ranking. And well, the least I can say is that they are very heavily armed. They have very high attributes. So with those tremendous builds, well, I think that they are kind of monsters to fight. Not exactly like Raton 10 or Chakal, who are in the top 10 of the top global. Those don't even need actually very high attributes. They just play very well. Okay, so this fly one is pretty accurate, and it was hitting very inaccurate forehand in the start, and then afterwards things were just a bit better. Alright. Boom, yeah. Most of the time I will try to play on my backhand, of course, and when I expect them to keep on to keep insisting on my backhand, well, they will play on my forehand. Sometimes it just doesn't work. I can move around pretty fast to hit, but if my return is not powerful enough, not too well placed, well, that's a punishment. Yeah, hitting on the well, my backhand is one of the most secure options. Okay, fortunately, a lot of my opponents were playing with the aggressive baseliner style. So, above average agility, big forehand, and a bit smaller backhand. And against this kind of build, well, it's not too bad having some serve. Of course, here against some players, I had I had a big advantage in terms of power. I had more total power, of course, but that's why I placed those matches behind. Oh, right. Okay, another silver wire. Yeah, the long catch tier 2 of the silver wire, is I think it's more useful in the tournaments because then the cards are capped. But when you are playing in regular matches, well, a lot of players are having very big forehand, and the long catch is simply not enough. Oh my gosh, can't believe all those unforced errors is just unbelievable. Yeah, yeah, classic. Something that I have seen so many times. A Kaito player flicking just to make a cross court, a dive cross court, and win because I am too late to get to the ball. Oh my gosh. All the drop shots that I tried were failures. Well, I didn't try a lot. I should try more, probably. Not against Kaito players, but I should try to hit harder and make some drop shots more than that. But it needs practicing. Because if you don't pay attention enough, the ball will arrive and land in the net. Land on the net. Okay, 59, 49, 51. I almost always look at agility, forehand and backhand. For the rest, well, can be ignored, kind of. Okay, 52, 50, and 49. We are going down. And he's taking the Punisher guard, but this is a good string, very good string to counter backhands, not a big forehand, which is the case with my lineup. But it is easier to have the Punisher guard. Yep, it's easier to obtain it by opening Grand backs or Elite and King backs than the Silver Wire, which is rare. So that's why I think that the players can have them pretty easily, and well, when they think that they play against the player having much more advantages, like him, Matt, against me, well, they may want to try. That's right. So this string, as you can see, gives you more precision when your opponent is hitting a big forehand. That's why it's called a forehand counter. But it it doesn't mean that the counter will arrive very hard on your opponent when you hit it, but it means that you can control the way you return and where you want the ball to land on the opponent's side with more precision. This counter means that here, to return with more precision, actually, not with much more power. But you still can, because you have the critical hit tier 1 with that kind of very good string. Yeah, it works. It works a lot. What I just did there with my forehand. All right. Okay, so you have seen Victoria turn around to be able to hit with her forehand sometimes in the in the matches, and well, this is something that you can't do if you had only 30 agility. You won't have time doing anything. You can just try and return desperately with your backhand. And with that kind of all-rounder style, well, what is good is that you can have more time. You can have more ability to turn on your forehand and hit a good forehand, instead of arriving on the ball too late and then being forced to play with your backhand. Oh my gosh. So out. Can't believe that. Okay, so finally wrap. So the opponent I just beat had 48 for forehand and backhand, and I think that this is not enough to compete in the Tour 7. Well, for the last match we have a power server plus big forehand, but she hasn't pushed her cards at a level which is high enough, because her forehand and her serve are not so high. Uh, but even with that level of serve, well, that's enough. Yeah, that's enough to put your opponent on a difficult position. Yeah, obviously trying to insist on my backhand, and just sometimes because the opponent will know that I'm going to anticipate a hit on the backhand, on my backhand, well, she will hit on my forehand. Well, I can understand that this is frustrating to play against power servers, because there is no more rally, no more exchange. So tennis may seem a bit boring in that case. It's no more game. Remember Tennis Clash when the updates were not there yet? Well, that was pretty fun. And from the latest updates, well, the game have changed a lot. Boom. Okay, that's it in the box. And here we go. Okay, I will show you the cards that I use for my lineup at the end of this video. Well, I hope you enjoy watching me test the all-rounder style in the Tour 7 of Tennis Clash, a sports game made by Wildlife Studios. Here are the cards. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel Gameplay 365 to stay tuned for new videos of Tennis Clash. And thank you a lot for your support. And in the next video I will try probably another style, or maybe that time we just keep practicing some of the existing style. See you soon on Gameplay 365. Bye bye.